I'm your host, Kevin Humphreys. Joining me today is Jack Feldman. Basically, we both love college ball, and we're going live right now to recap the day and recap the weekend. And it didn't have the marquee matchup like Texas and Ohio State and LSU Clemson this week, but boy, there was chaos, and that's what's great about college football. So let's get right into it. Jack, what game do you want to start with first?
I mean, the first game that jumps out is the Florida game, Florida USF. I mean, I thought Florida was just going to roll through because, yeah, USF took down Boise State last week, but Boise State is a shell of themselves without their star Jainty. And so I just thought it was just going to be another just absolute demolition derby from Florida, but boy, was I wrong.
Yeah. I'm pretty high on USF. I thought that they were going to beat Boise. I love their quarterback. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Maybe not a pure pocket passer, but just what he's able to do to create plays and keep them in games. And so when I saw that 20-point spread, I figured that they would cover, but man, Florida was it was a full court press on the Billy Napier special. I mean, the things that have bitten them in the butt the past 4 years, like
Hmm.
sloppy execution, penalty like really ill-timed penalties, like just a team that didn't look very well coached. It was my biggest takeaway, and ultimately, I think, this is kinda like the nail on the coffin on Billy Napier's time at Florida. Like, if you look at their upcoming schedule, they play like six ranked teams, and like 5 of them are in the top 10. They still have Miami as an out of conference game, not to mention like Texas and Alabama and Georgia. Like, this was a game that they had to win, and Billy Napier absolutely sold. So, um, I know like DJ Lagway was super hyped. Are you still bought in on I mean, there was a whole Heisman campaign for him.
I've never been hyped on Lagway. I don't think he's that great of a quarterback to begin with. But I mean, I thought he was put in a good situation with Florida, but I mean, at the end of the day, they're a middle tier SEC team this year, and the SEC is just too stacked for them to do anything.
Yeah, 100%. I think their ranking, I think it was 11 or 13. I can't remember exactly their ranking, but yeah, I knew that they were super overrated coming into the season. I mean, everyone was buying stock on Lagway's games against last year being 6-0, but I feel like a lot of those games were games that he played well in, but it wasn't like a he never super wowed me last year, in terms of me thinking he was gonna be this, like, first round draft pick, next season. He
Right.
never impressed me to that extent, so to me, the Florida hype was man, it was loosely tied to his skill level, and I just wasn't a fan, so I wasn't shocked, but man, I think we also have to take a look at South Florida. Like, they beat Boise State, who albeit didn't have Genty and looked like a shell of themselves, but still is probably a team that we're gonna see in the Mountain West Championship game. So they
Mhm.
have 2 wins. I think they're in the driver's seat for that G5 playoff spot.
I believe so. I think that last drive really solidified that as well. I mean, another big mishap for Florida. They get the ball back after the missed field goal, and they run about 20 seconds off the clock when
Oh,
you're up 3 or 4, whatever it was. I
yeah.
mean, like, how do you end up doing that? How do you end up just putting out 20 seconds in 3 plays, and then just
Yeah,
punting it right back to the team that's down? So, definitely hats off to USF, but I mean, Florida sold those last few times. I mean, you just gotta at least run the ball once, but they threw every time.
100%, and it was yeah, like we said, Billy Napier just it had all the staples of just poor coaching. And that's not to say that, like, when Florida beats one of these top 10 teams, am I gonna be surprised? Absolutely not. Like, this is a talented roster. Billy Napier can recruit and he can identify talent. but the problem is that it's never gonna be consistent enough to win more than 7 to 8 games in a season, and
Right.
so, like, this was, I think, the most shocking upset today, but, if you were on South Florida, coming into this season, then you weren't surprised at all to see what took place today.
That's
So,
true.
let me put on my proverbial ball knower cap on, you know. So,
I'm still
like,
on Tulane for the G5 or 6 spot, whatever it is,
for
but
G5,
yeah,
okay.
I'll take Tulane, but great upset by USF. Another upset that I was very excited to see just because I want the Big 12 to continue to lose. I don't know why. Probably shouldn't because I'm a BYU fan and I want the Big 12 to succeed. But that Mississippi State game, ASU game, was another terrible, terrible play called by the defense. But what do you think on that?
So, last season, ASU was a play away from advancing in the college football playoff, and they cover 0 blitzed against Texas, gave up the touchdown in overtime.
Mhm.
So, two wrongs in this situation did not make a right. They cover 0 blitzed again after a super impressive, just like they were dead in the water in the first half. And Sam Levitt and the run game and Jordan Tyson, phenomenal second half. Dillingham coached his butt off in the second half. Didn't do so hot in the first half, but phenomenal second half. And they did everything right. And then they decided to cover 0. Like, I they were trying to Mississippi State has a great field goal kicker. They were trying to defend against a field goal, but you can't go cover 0 in that situation and just give the game away. You have to at least make them earn it and drive down the field, and it's just brutal that ASU had, I mean, it was the exact same situation. Uh, you had the game in hand, all you had to do was seal it, and they cover 0 blitzed and they got beat. But, I mean, that game was just wild. I mean, when they were down 17-0, did you think it was over?
I thought they were dead in the water because I mean I was never high on ASU to begin with this year because I thought they relied too heavily on Scadaboo last year and they didn't really bring in anything to match that same productivity. And
Right.
so when came out and they were ranked that high, I never thought anything would happen. And so when they were down 17-0, I was like, oh, this is going to be just, they're dead in the water. There's no way anything's coming back. I actually flipped it off because I was just like, I don't want to watch that. Then it was 17-17, threw back on, and then they choked again.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I was pretty certain that they were gonna make a comeback. I didn't At down 17-0, I didn't think that they were gonna come back and win, but I kept it on the whole time. And, I was really happy that I thought I was proven to be right with, Jordan Tyson and Sam Levitt. Like, it's probably the most unstoppable
Mhm.
quarterback to wide receiver. He's definitely the best receiver in the Big 12. I don't think that's even up for debate right now. Maybe I'll be proven wrong at the end of the season. And, Sam Levitt finally got him the ball. They were finally able to run the ball in the second half. Everyone at Mississippi State had their shirts off, and I'm pretty sure like half the stadium had their shirts off. So I wasn't really sure what was going on, but yeah, it was just brutal. Kenny Dillingham is, gosh, man, like, I mean, when we worked together at BYU TV, I was telling everyone before last season, like, I don't know when it's going to happen, but Dillingham's going to turn ASU into a college football powerhouse. And
Quicker than we thought.
and I planted my shovel in the ground and said, like, I'm sitting on this, and I've kind of been right, but man alive, is it super frustrating for a guy that I think is one of the best, like, 5 to 10 coaches in the country. Just, man, he just made a, I mean, he doesn't call the defense, but just
Well,
the
I mean, I just feel like it's just so common sense. If you're up 4 with 40 seconds left, you play prevent defense.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sometimes it bites
Even
in the
it
butt,
yeah.
but you're never gonna score a touchdown on prevent defense from 70 yards out.
Yeah.
Like, it's just that simple.
Yeah. Man, and like even if it had gone to overtime, your offense was playing so well at that point that like I
Exactly.
I'll take Levitt and Tyson and their and Udo that like that three-headed monster. I would have taken that versus Mississippi State's guys in overtime. Like you could tell that they were like out of gas, honestly, and Arizona State just gave them I mean, they just handed them the game by not playing prevent defense. So, but like that's what makes college different than the NFL is in the NFL, like guess what? You probably in the NFL, they're playing prevent. Mississippi State is probably getting to the 30-yard line and kicking a field goal and sending the game to overtime. College is just crazy, man. I mean, that's just how it goes. ASU definitely had a lot of the same I will say it's very similar, because Mississippi State hasn't won a Power 4, excuse me, Power 4 game. Like I think they had
Mhm.
lost their last 13. So them and USF were probably like kind of the same caliber of competition for Florida and ASU. And it's not surprised that these kind of like preseason hype teams with not a whole lot of depth outside of quarterback went down today. And I think next week and the week after we're going to see a lot more of that with certain teams. So
Hmm. Well, let's get to your team. They fell short. Only top 25 matchup of the day. I didn't get to watch a ton of this game, but I did have it on in the background. Bryce Underwood didn't look amazing to me yet. He still hasn't personally, just because I think he had a lot of hype under him.
yeah,
But what'd you take out of this game?
dude, I think so. I think Bryce is the man, but there were. I mean, I have the college football recap show going right now, and man, there were a couple plays where he had open guys and he just made the wrong read. There was one in the red zone where he throws the ball outside to the pylon and the guy is going inside on the post. And if he just hits that guy, it's a completely different game. And there were probably two or three of those plays where if he just makes the right read with the receiver that Michigan probably walks
Mhm.
out of Oklahoma winner. But man, Oklahoma's defense is so good, man. Outside of the one Haynes run that he broke in the second half, like at the very
Right.
beginning of the second half, that went for 70 something yards, I think. They
Mhm.
just had nothing on the ground. And so it was all on Bryce, and I thought he was doing pretty well. And it was just an impossible spot for a true freshman to be in. And so like it's there. And when Michigan is able to build like a better offense around him, um, and they're able to provide a running game, which they just weren't able to do today for a lot of it. And so I really liked what I saw. Obviously, he wasn't perfect, but as far as I was hoping, as what I was expecting to see in this game, I thought Bryce played really well. But the guy that I think stole the show tonight was Mateer, man. Like I didn't realize that he was that good as
Yeah.
a runner. Like I knew he could spin it, but man, like Michigan just had no answer for what he's able to do on the ground. Every time they needed a third down conversion or any like short yardage, man, or Mateer was just that dude. Like I was pretty low on Oklahoma, but after today,
Yeah.
like watching Mateer just it wasn't explosive, but watching him just he was in total control of the game. And that's something that doesn't really happen in a lot of like you just don't see many college quarterbacks able to just completely control the game like that, and Mateer did.
Mhm. No, that's true. I'm looking up at the stats right now. He carried the ball 19 times too.
Yeah,
The
he's
second
tough,
guy on
man.
his team, 9. I mean, he doubled up the starting running back, which is nuts. 21 of 34, pretty solid, but
Yeah,
9 of 17 on third down efficiency compared to 3 of 14.
yeah,
And so when you're converting 3 out of 14 third downs, you're not going to win any games, in my
yeah,
opinion.
yeah, it's
So,
brutal, man. Like, he was just he was just better, and, it's not to say that, Bryce won't get there. I think he will. I think, Oklahoma is probably kind of the team that Michigan's gonna be next year, where Bryce is gonna be in his 2nd year. He's gonna look more in control. Their defense is gonna be awesome, and then they're just gonna kind of wear you down like Oklahoma did to Michigan today. Um,
yeah.
so
Yeah,
that
that's kind of the underlining message that I got from that one really quick. It's just
yeah,
9 of 24 for Bryce Underwood, classic freshman woes.
yeah, yeah, like, I honestly it didn't feel like that. It didn't feel like he went 9 of 24. I mean, his I think it was just his poise, um, was what stood out to me, and that, like, even even when things were going hairy, I never felt like he panicked. He definitely had some bad reads and obviously went 9 of 24, but, just keeping plays alive and moving around in the pocket, I think the if you're a Michigan fan, that you should still feel good. Bryce Underwood's gonna look completely different at the end of the season. I
Mhm.
wish they I wish they had more talent at the wide receiver position. And let's not forget, he was also missing his number one option, his tight end tonight. So,
That's fair.
with all those things working against him, I still feel good about Bryce, but I think Mateer stole the show, and I think we'll hit on this a little later, but I think he's probably one of the guys in New York at the end of the season, if I'm right.
Hmm.
All right, so those were kind of the big matchups this week. Kind of more the under the radar, like noon games that we saw today were it was Baylor, SMU, Iowa State, Iowa, and this game was at 1:30, but it was still one of the rivalry games this weekend. Missouri and Kansas. Jack, do any of these did any one of these matchups stand out to you?
I mean, the overtime thriller was fun. But I mean, that Iowa State Iowa game was just the classic 1900s type game where it's just ground and pound, defense wins championships. Um, but I don't really know. None of these really stood out to me super well, other
Yeah.
than just letting me know that the Big 12 is not as good as I thought they were going to be going into this year.
Yeah, 100%. Like with Baylor SMU, I was pretty high on Baylor. I thought it
Mhm.
was them, Utah, and ASU coming into the season who were going to be the top 3. But man, Baylor had no defense against Auburn last week, and they gave up so many explosive plays to SMU this week. And it's a miracle that they won this game
Mhm.
because they were down 14 in the 4th quarter, and Sawyer Robertson is that dude for Baylor. Like, he might be the best quarterback in the Big 12, and it sucks because he does not have a defense. And so, it was just an insane game. Baylor has some sort of juju over SMU. They've won 14 games in a row against SMU. I mean, that's one of the craziest streaks. SMU hasn't beaten Baylor since before they got the death penalty. That was I mean, and the fact that they were up 14 and still couldn't get it done. I mean, you just have to think that there's some dark magic. I mean, that's what's great about college football is that there's these historic matchups, 2 religious schools going against each other, Methodists and Baptists at war. So,
Fun.
but man, dude, like it's one of those games that was super college football because I mean it was a classic Big 12 game from 10 years ago when all the games ended in the 40s.
Mhm.
The quality was horrible. It was on the CW. It looked like you were watching a high school football stream. There was the announcers could not have been less enthused. I had the game on mute for most of it, but every time I turned it on, I mean, these guys, it sounded like they were hungover at a bar watching the game. And
Yeah.
y the product isn't perfect, but man, it's college football. Shoot it up in my veins. But like you were saying, Iowa State, Iowa was maybe my favorite game of the day just because it was I mean, we threw that game back to the 1900s and just I don't know if it's the mics that Fox uses, but every time someone got tackled in that game, it was the most violent hit ever. And
Mhm.
Rocco Becht is the man, like kind of like we were talking about with John Mateer, like it was 13-13. Iowa State needed one drive to go down and seal the game, and they did it. And Becht is that guy. It's his third year as a starter. He looks, and this I don't want to say it, but man is like a carbon copy of Brock Purdy and has has the NFL pedigree. His dad was a tight end in the NFL. Like I would buy all the stock I could on Rocco Becht. In the NFL, it's less about pocket passing now than it's ever been. But if you need a guy to run the McVay or the Shanahan or the Viking system, like he can do it because
Mhm.
he has the clutch gene. He has ultimate confidence in himself, and he just breaks down defenses as well as any quarterback does in the Big 12. And he's beaten Iowa 2 years in a row, and
Mhm.
Iowa State hadn't beaten Iowa at home since 2011. Like, not like Brock Purdy never beat Iowa at home in his career. Barack Beck did it today, and he did it last year. So I'm buying all the stock I can on Rocco Becht, and dude is tough as nails. Like a lot of these quarterbacks, it's not pretty, and they'll put their head down and they'll run for 4 or 5 yards, but boy, they're tough as nails and they're just so good. And then the last one, Missouri, Kansas. Kansas was up 21-6, and just it was another college football where Kansas fumbles up 10 or 15, and Missouri safeties them, gets gets a touchdown on the ensuing drive, and they're right back in the game. It's just the chaos today
Mhm.
was at an all-time high for week 2. And ultimately after that, Missouri just kept on pushing on Kansas and Missouri fell. Or I mean, and Kansas fell 42-31, and it was just another one of those games where you could tell the teams absolutely hated each other, and every hit was they were trying to send the other team into next week. So, those were the rivalry games today. Now we'll get to kind of like our last big topic that we're gonna hit today, and it's teams that struggled with subpar competition. So, out of Clemson, Georgia, and Penn State, who do you think had the worst performance?
Hands down, Clemson. Hands down. I mean, Troy. We're talking about Troy, right? 16 down 16-3 at halftime.
Not
Like, what are we
SMU, not Miami, not Florida State. We're talking about
talking about?
Troy.
Troy. Who the heck can you name one player on Troy's team? I
No,
can't.
no, I don't. There's zero
I
shot.
can't.
The last time I feel like Troy is always this team where they're up double digits on a Power 4 team like every year, but then they'll always lose it. But I remember they did beat LSU like a year or
Mhm.
2 before that Burrow team happened. So that's the last time I remember Troy pulling off like an insane upset. And after a half of football, it looked like they were on their way to do it again. which I don't know about you, but for me, the Clemson hype was all contingent on them beating a not great SMU team last year,
Mhm.
and everyone thought that Klubnik was the man because he had a good 4th quarter against Texas when they were just playing prevent defense. Like,
Yeah.
when has Klubnik ever looked like the guy that people talk people talk about him like he's a top, like, 3 quarterback in college football? Against any team over 500, has he ever looked that good?
I mean, you look at his stats, and they look okay. You
Right.
watch the game, he's not good.
Last
And
week, for example, when they're down 7 to LSU, are you confident that he's gonna take Clemson down and score?
mm-mm.
No, not at all. And, yeah, he's good when his receivers are just better, but, like, when we're talking about guys like Beck and Mateer, I don't even know if he's on, like, a B plus to A minus level of quarterback because those guys control the game way better than he does.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, yeah, Clemson is not, in my opinion, like, I thought that they might just be, like, the best ACC team this year because the ACC was not gonna be that great this year. Turns out the ACC might be freaking good, and Clemson just isn't isn't even gonna be a top team in the ACC. So I agree with you. I'll just hit on Georgia and Penn State real quick. Georgia's
Mhm.
offense, like, I'm sure their defense is gonna be good. I'm sure they're gonna win 9 games, 10 games this year, but man, that offense is you gotta be worried next week going to Tennessee. Like, if that offense can't score 21 points against Tennessee, I think they're gonna lose.
Mhm. I
So,
agree with that.
I mean, like and Tennessee has looked pretty good. I mean, they always look good offensively against bad teams, but
That is
Aguilar is playing better than I think Nico did all of last year.
Mhm.
And I mean, let's I mean, let's look at Nico right now. He's 0-2 and he's looked terrible against
Oh my
Utah
word.
and UNLV. So, like, this might be the best thing that ever happened to Tennessee. But yeah, like I I thought Georgia was and I still think Georgia is a playoff team, but that offense has to take a big step before they're challenging for the national title in the playoff, I think. And
Mhm.
then, Penn State was, everyone's kind of been high on Penn State because they made it to the Final Four. They had everyone coming back. They're following the same blueprint as Ohio State and Michigan. But do you think if you took the 23 Michigan team and the 24 Ohio State team, this Penn State team's still third, right?
Oh, 100%. I'm buying no stock in Penn State this year. I don't trust them whatsoever. I never have trusted Penn State because they haven't given me any reason to trust them. And so
Yeah,
yeah, no Penn State for me.
yeah. And I'll still buy that they're a playoff team mostly because their schedule and they do have a lot of talent, but the offensive line today was from what I saw of it, the offensive line today just kept giving up pressures. And it was to FIU. It wasn't to Ohio State. It wasn't to it wasn't to Oregon, who they're gonna play in a couple weeks. Like
Yeah.
we're gonna see how for real Penn State is in a couple weeks, and I'm scared for that offensive line because they did not look good this week, and there wasn't really an excuse for it. Like at least for Georgia, I can say, oh, they have Tennessee next week, so they're probably saving like
Mhm.
every wrinkle they have on offense was being saved for Tennessee next week, and so maybe
Yeah.
you can just say like, yeah, they were just like straight up like handing the ball off and running like the most simple like forwards or like slant concepts or whatever they were doing. You can make an argument that they were just like playing possum for Tennessee next week. there's nothing that explains Penn State's offensive line being bad. So,
Mm-mm.
there's even in games that those teams won, I think that's kind of what to watch out for, at least for Georgia and Penn State going forward. So, it's getting late. It's almost midnight here in Utah. You can tell my voice is about to give up from all the screaming I did for 3 hours watching ASU and Michigan play. Um, but let's finish with this. Let's finish with our where our playoff sits right now. I'll let you go first.
For me, Iowa State is at the top, and it's not really close for me right now. I know as a Michigan fan for yourself, you don't like hearing that,
I don't like
but
it, but I agree with it.
it is the shoe in. I mean, they got the best receiver in the nation. They got a guy throwing to him who's young but is a star.
Yeah,
And he showed that against the best team in Texas a couple last week. Showed it
yeah.
again this week. So I think they're the best, followed by LSU, Georgia, and Oregon. That's my top four. Again, just Oregon. I don't know what to expect from them. I mean, they always again that's another team that just completely dominates in the first few weeks, but then we'll
Dude,
see what
they
happens when they play actual competition.
I didn't watch a second of it. I was gonna turn it on for a minute just to see how bad it was gonna look. And I checked the score and it was like 28-0 before the end of the first quarter.
Yeah.
And that's against Oklahoma State, who was bad last year, but that's still a Power 4 team that's like Gundy's usually like pretty good. Usually like it's definitely fallen off the wheels are falling off for Oklahoma State, but still to do that to a team with the cachet that Oklahoma State has. Oh,
Oh yeah. And that just proves my point that I made earlier. Big 12 is just not it this year. I mean,
yeah.
lose 69-3 is just unexcusable. I don't care who you are.
Yeah. Got to score more than 3.
Yep. What about you? What do you got for the top four?
Okay. I think let's see. I have Ohio State, Penn State, LSU, and Georgia. Penn State, I really just have on there because their schedule's super easy. If they split with Oregon and Ohio State, then they're a top 4 team, I believe. Um,
Point.
LSU, Nussmeier is probably the best quarterback in the country, and LSU has a defense this year, so I like them. And then Georgia, I think I'm not really certain about the teams behind right now, and so I'm just putting Georgia there because I trust Kirby Smart. He's the most consistent thing in college football. I know for a fact they're not going to lose a game to a worse team than them. So
Mm.
are they gonna win the playoff? No, I don't think so right now. They're definitely not in my upper echelon, but right now, like I'm just taking Georgia. I'm taking the best coach in the country with the one of the best rosters in the country at 4.
What's one team you got in the playoffs that you don't trust right now?
Um, I was really impressed by Illinois today.
Hmm.
I have them at 10 right now, and honestly, it's a lot of it has to do with Altmaier, and I don't like all my eggs being in on Altmaier, but I do think that there's gonna be 4 Big Ten teams that get in, and right now I think Illinois is the 4th best Big Ten team. So, do I trust that at all? No, like, I think Indiana could be the 4th best team. I think Michigan still has a path to being the 4th best Big Ten team. So that's a team that I don't trust. Is there someone on your list that you don't trust?
I have never bought into the Texas hype. I've
Okay.
never I don't like Arch Manning, and I'm probably the only person on this planet that will say that. I have not been impressed one bit by him, nor the whole Texas team personally. I mean, I've watched both their games. They just do not. I mean, they came in with such high expectations, and maybe that's why. There was such I mean, maybe that's why I'm so low on them is because of
Mhm.
that high expectation. I mean, people were saying before that week 1 matchup that Texas and Arch Manning have the same hype as LeBron James coming out of high school, which is just absolutely ridiculous in my opinion, but if that's the hype he has, he's bound to fail. So, that's what I
Yeah.
see.
No, I think I think I agree with you to some extent. I think I thought Texas was at the highest level, in college football this year. Now, right now, they are not 100%. Like, if you put them in the playoff against the other teams, like, I don't think they would stand up very well. But I think they have a top 5 defense in the country, and so they're gonna win 9 to 10 games this season. They'll be probably in a position to make the playoff at the end of the season, and I do believe in Sark. I believe that Sark can make this offense playoff caliber. I don't think this season it's gonna be like Arch isn't gonna look like Joe Burrow in 19 or Mac Jones in 2020 or Jaden Daniels or Cam Ward. Like, I don't think that's gonna happen, but do I think that they can play complementary offense kind of more like a JJ McCarthy when they were making the playoffs and going and won the national championship? Like, I think JJ is better than Arch is right now, at least in college. But I think Arch can do that, and Texas can win a national championship doing that. But I don't think he's going to be throwing for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns in the playoff to get him there.
Mm-mm. Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it one bit, and I wouldn't be surprised if they miss the playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't have a chance to even have a chance. I mean, I honestly think they're going to be the Alabama of last year, where
Okay.
they end up being 9-4. They're on the hinge, but you're 9-4, like at the end of the day, or nine and
Yeah.
whatever they were. So that's how I see it. But I can be completely wrong because Texas has, like you said, a really good defense, which is the backbone to any team. Got a
Mhm.
star quarterback, but I just can't buy in on the hype yet.
Yeah. No, I think that's smart to definitely hold on Arch, and especially in a wide open conference like the SEC. I mean, you brought up Alabama. Like, I can definitely see a world where Alabama still wins the SEC. Like, it's
100%.
not likely, but there's still a world that they can win it. And you know, Texas does have Tex. What's frustrating about these big conferences is that some of these schedules are so lopsided. Like, I think you can pencil in 8 wins already for Texas this year, and it's just do they go 1-3 in games against like Ohio State and other top? I think they play Georgia again. Like,
They
do they
do.
go 1-3 against top 15 teams again, or do they go 2-2? And if they go 2-2, chances are they probably make the playoff if they're 10-2.
For sure. But
And
I just
but
can't fathom the fact that like you scored 7 points against Ohio State.
yeah,
Your defense gave up 14. How are you not winning that game?
no, I agree. It was, I mean, it was bad too. Like, watching that game, like TV copy, I couldn't tell like if I didn't know if it was just Arch being bad or like if his receivers just had 0 separation, but they were rolling through a bunch of the highlights today, and Arch was just dumping it off too
Mhm.
early and just missing guys over the middle of the field. And I mean, he's throwing bounce passes to guys. Like, when he like loads up to throw and he still misses is at guy's feet, like, that's when it gets worried. Like it's not like he's just not seeing it, but it's he's not seeing it and he's having trouble delivering it. So, speaking of the playoff, how many ACC teams do you have in your playoff right now?
Um, I think 2, 3.
So it looks like you have Florida State, Clemson.
Yeah, 2.
Okay. And you know, we can call Notre Dame ACC adjacent since
Fair
they
enough.
basically are an ACC team.
They are.
But why Florida State and Clemson specifically? Because I think the ACC is the most. I didn't think so going into the season, but I think they've kind of proven that they're for sure the third best conference in the country and have multiple teams that maybe not can win a national championship, but multiple teams that are for sure like top 10 teams.
Right. And so my philosophy, I think Florida State and Clemson are going to meet in the conference championship. And I think they're
Okay.
both going to be top 10 teams at that time, which means they're both going to get in. That's how I see it. I think this Florida State team is what everyone was hoping was going to happen last year to this Florida State
Hmm.
team. And I think Castellanos is as good as it gets at the quarterback position, if I'm being completely honest.
Dude, he's electric. I don't know if he's I mean,
Yeah,
he's not like NFL draft caliber, I don't think, but as far as college quarterback is concerned, there's not like 5, at least how he's played so far this season. Like
mhm,
you take him and you take Gus Malzahn calling plays and you take what Florida State has like as weapons on offense as far as like running the football, like it's tough for
right.
me to find a better like scheme fit combo in the country. So I definitely like Florida State. I'm I've been a generational Miami hater, but just watching Clemson the last 2 weeks, like
That's fair.
I think it's Miami personally. We'll see. Like I still do not think Carson Beck is like good, but it's crazy to say, but his receivers at Miami this year are just flat out better than anything he had at Georgia last year, and so he's gonna
Mhm.
look a lot better, and that offensive line is a problem. Like, Mario Cristobal can't coach, but boy, does he recruit the trenches well, and
True.
so I don't like it, but I am buying stock on Liberty. Um, not Liberty. Whoa. I am buying stock in Miami, unfortunately. Um, I'm
That's fair. I think it's
I'm
gonna
s
be Florida State with either one of those teams, and I just don't know which one. So,
okay.
I mean, they both it just depends on which one of them will beat Florida State in the regular season, which one will
Mhm.
beat Florida or I mean, if Miami takes down Florida or loses, it won't really matter in the standings, but if which team will beat Florida State and then which one will beat SMU and then will Clemson get it done against South Carolina? And I think that's what will depend
Yeah.
on who makes it,
Yeah, see,
which seems pretty simple.
Clemson isn't beating South Carolina. I don't think. I think look, here's the thing, and I'll just get into this right now. Duke was not 26 points worse than Illinois today. They fumbled the ball a
Mhm.
crap ton, and that was a lot of it. Like, a lot of the times that they were fumbling was, like, they were it was like a 25-yard play, and at the end of it, they would just fumble. It was super dumb. Obviously, just another one of those, like, just crazy college football games, but, like, Duke is good. That defensive line is
They're good.
awesome, and, like, Clemson plays Duke, Clemson plays South Carolina. That, like, Clemson, I think they're 8-4 again, and they're gonna need a lot of luck even to make the ACC championship game. So I would definitely sell on Clemson. The I guess we can hit on this and kind of wrap it up. We talked a lot about how bad the Big 12 is today, but who do you have? Who do you have in your playoff from the Big 12? And I assume it's just one team.
Um, it's gonna be Texas Tech for me,
Okay.
and I'm not buying a lot of stock in this, but
Mm-hmm.
I just think they're the dark horse, and I think just like last year, this is the year that anyone can win the Big 12, and so
Mm-hmm.
I just did a coin flip, and it ended up being Texas Tech, which is why I
Yeah.
picked them. So,
Okay.
literally nothing to do with how they've looked, even though they have looked good against the
They
bad teams.
have.
Um, but it was gonna be Kansas State preseason. They're awful.
Oh my gosh. Losing to Army, like
Yeah,
people
they
don't
should be 0 and
realize.
3. They should be
Yeah.
0 and 3,
Yeah.
but not good. So the other team would be Iowa State, in my opinion. So
Okay.
it'd just be Texas Tech, Iowa State, whoever wins that game. Iowa State didn't look good last year in the championship game, and so
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna roll the dice and say they don't look good again, and Texas Tech gets done.
Yeah. I disagree with that, but it's not a very strong disagree. I have Iowa State. I think Utah, at least right now,
Mm,
is probably the other team that I think is fighting for the playoff. I think they have the best offense. They might have the best offensive line in the country, and they have a really good running quarterback. And as long as their defense can play complementary defense, like they should have no problem running the football against any of these weak Big 12
absolutely.
defenses. Although BYU's defense tonight looks scary.
They're
Like,
good.
so I'm not sure how that BYU offense is gonna look against Utah, but
Terrible.
I know that defense is coming to play. So,
Yeah.
um, but U but Utah should be able to probably win 9 to 10 games, which should be enough to at least contend for the Big 12 championship game. And then from there, like I've said before, I think Becht is the best quarterback in the conference, so I'll take him against anyone. I think that's but, like, Texas Tech can easily be there. Morton's been their quarterback for forever. I'm not sure if I, like, completely am in love with him, but, like, just the experience alone helps you feel confident that they won't lose games that they're not supposed to because he's not making cataclysmic mistakes that some of these other guys do, like Avery Johnson and whoever's playing quarterback for West Virginia is just awful. I mean, I didn't watch any of that game, but boy, you lose to Ohio, man. That is, I mean,
West Virginia's not good this year.
yeah, and like,
You
and UCF barely beat like
know.
uh, a really bad FCS school last week. Like, there's
Yeah,
there's 8 legit teams in the Big 12, and then there's 8 like it
atrocious.
like maybe
Like
like why
G5 programs.
yeah, like
Yeah.
it's rough. I mean, hopefully for us as BYU fans, the Big 12 can get someone in the playoff that represents as well as Arizona State did last year, but
I
I've
honestly think the Big 12 last thought is gonna be won in week 4 with Texas Tech, Utah, and that game's played in
oh,
Rice-Eccles.
okay.
So, I think that does I mean, you bring up a good point. Utah plays all their quote unquote Big 12 games at home. They got Texas Tech at
Yeah.
home, they got Arizona State at home, Kansas State at home. I mean, they don't have to play Iowa State this year. They have BYU on the
Yeah.
road, but again, so I mean, Utah's path is definitely the one where I would buy stock on, but I'm a BYU
Mhm.
fan, so I don't buy stock in Utah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'll buy stock, and then when that stock takes a nosedive, I'm not gonna be upset about it. The
There you
only
go.
the only thing I love more than being right is when my rival loses, so
It's facts.
So yeah. Yeah, so keep best the takeaways from this episode: buy stock on John Mateer, Rocco Becht. Um, sell in my opinion, sell everything you can on Clemson. Sell everything you can on Florida, although I don't think that one's pretty self-explanatory. Um, hold on Georgia and Penn State. Um, and then we'll be this is our first podcast, and we're not just a college football podcast, but Saturday nights we'll cover mainly college football. But I did have one thing I wanted to do before we left that's non-college football related, and as a fellow Dodgers hater, I assume we're just gonna bask in
Throw for strikes.
Rivera up the middle, base hit. Mateo around third. Mateo will score. One more magical moment in time on September the 6th in Baltimore.
Dang. Great way to end.
So, yeah, that was a little baseball for us to end on. Dodgers were 1 out away from a no-hitter and lost, so we're gonna celebrate that tonight. Cheers to that. So you can see Arizona Diamondbacks fan, so cheers to that. But yeah, we'll be back next week to break down some NFL, MLB. And NBA's not started quite yet, but we'll talk basketball too. So yeah, come to JK Sports for some good analysis, but mostly just a casual conversation with some guys that just want to talk ball. So with that, we'll see you next time.
See you later.